Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial we're going to go ahead and build a simple login and logout and registration system using Firebase rather. So we're going to use Firebase to build a simple registration, login and logout system. So we're going to be using plain vanilla JavaScript. So we're not going to be using anything like React or anything. So we're going to be using pure vanilla JavaScript and some CSS libraries and other Jquery and other stuff like that. So let's get started. So before we get started, let me just show you the application. So this application, if I just go to /index, this is the sign up page where you can provide in your email, your username and other details, and then it will sign up that user. So I'm just providing some users, and I just providing some random test data. So I'm going to say my password here. I'm just going to providing a random password, and also I have to repeat that random password. Okay, so now this form also has some form validation. So let's say that I get the email wrong, right, and I try to submit this form. It's going to tell me that I have an invalid email. Okay, so it has all these form validations, like the name must be more than 3 characters, the password must match. So if I remove some of this password and remove some of this password, the password won't match. So let me just do this. So if I try to register again, it tells me password don't match. Okay, so something like that. So let me just type in my right details again, and then type in my right details, and then I try to click on registration. So this is going to register me. For now you can see I get an error saying that the username is already taken. This is why the username is already taken, because I have created a user with a specific email address. You can see that right here. So let me just go ahead and delete that user and then try this one more time. So this is just some part of the form validations that we have. So now that I have deleted this user, so I go back to my Firebase console and I try to refresh. You can see I have no user in there. So now let me just try to register again. So let me just register again. Now everything should go through, and I get this pop-up saying that sign up has been successful. So if I click OK, and then I have to provide in the email that I use, and then I have to provide in my password that I use. So I'm just going to type in my password and then simply click on login, and this is going to log me in, and I can see hello world and I'm logged in. So I can also click logout, and this will log me out of the application. So if I click on logout, it's going to go ahead and log me out. So you say you are logged out, okay, and then you are back to this page right here. So that's all how it works. So this we're going to create using Firebase and vanilla JavaScript. Again, I'm using a template because I don't want us to take a lot of time writing all the CSS and JavaScript just to get a responsive website and all. So I've used a template, and I got the template from this website. So let me just go to my application here. So I got the website from this link right here. It's called colorlib.com. so you guys, if you're interested in more templates, you can feel free to check them out. So I just got the template and then customize the bit to make it good for our needs. Okay, so I'm going to upload all this code about the HTML setup and then the CSS and everything else. I'm going to upload it. The only part that we're going to implement is the login part using Firebase. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm just going to close this window for now, and I'm going to bring my terminal, and in my terminal I've created a repository, a folder on my desktop, and I'm calling it Firebase_basics, and in there I have my code. So I'm just going to open this in Visual Studio Code, and this is just the basic templates and the CSS and other fonts and other stuff and everything, the IDs and everything predefined. So we're going to use that to just to write the JavaScript code to enable us to implement the login and the logout system. Okay, so let me just also show you something. This application also, imagine that I want to try to access main. So you can see I actually stopped the server. That's why I closed the window. That's why this won't work for now. Okay, but I'll show you once we get there. Basically, you can't go to the main page unless you are logged in, else it will redirect you to the login page and something like that. You're going to be using sessions to store our user UIDs, okay, unique identifications for each user. So I'm just close up this for now, and I'm going to go back to my Firebase, and I'm going to go let me just go to Firebase here, and I can just click on this, and I can go to add a project. I can add a new project. So I'm just gonna click on add a project, or you can even go to getting started. Let me just go back. So if you get to Firebase, the official documentation, I think let's go back here. You should get the Firebase, so you can just go to, let me just show you here. You can just go to firebase.google.org.com, sorry, and then you reach this page. Upon reaching this page, you can just click on getting started, And when you click on getting started, it will take you to a page where you can actually create a new project. Okay, so this is a page that I have right there, so I can just go ahead and actually close this window. Again, if you're looking for the templates, it's going to be on my GitHub, and I'm going to send the link. The link will be in the description, so you guys can have access to the templates and you can follow along writing the JavaScript code. So I'm simply going to click on add project. So I'm going to add a new project. I'm going to call it let's just call it let me just say Firebase. Let's call it first project or something. Let's call it Firebase basics. Basics. Yeah, so now that I get that right, I can simply go ahead and click on continue, and I just click on continue, and then I have to select the country. You have to choose the Google Analytics account. I'm just going to use the default, and I can click on create projects. So this is going to go ahead and create for me the Google Firebase project. So once that is done, on my desktop I see that I already have the folder, and I've opened up in Visual Studio Code. So when you open it up, you will just have the index page where the user can be able to sign up, the login page where the user can be able to log in, and then the main page, which is the page that the user will be redirected to once they are logged in. So let's get started to it. Let's get to it. So the first thing we need to do is actually set up our config. So let's just go back to layer. You just press on continue. So once we've done that, the is created, and we press on continue, we can just click on a web this side, and then you can create an app. So I'm just going to call it first app. Okay, first app, or what you can call it whatever you want. You can also enable Google log hosting if you want, but I'm not going to do that in this tutorial. So I'm just going to click on create an app. So that will be our application. Okay, so it's going to take some time to create the app. Now to get the config value of the app, you can, if you're using Node.js, you click on npm. So if you're using Node and you're using Firebase, you can just copy this link right here. Since I'm using the script tags, I'm just going to copy this right here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of this. So copy this, and then go to your VS Code, create a folder called config. So I'm going to call it config.js. So instead of config.js, I'm simply going to go ahead and paste that right there. So I'm going to delete all of this, and instead of this, I'm going to simply call this Firebase. Okay, so if I simply call this Firebase, then we'll use that in our application when building the application. So I need to go ahead and call this Firebase. So just a second. I hope you have everything set up. So these are your configuration values, and avoid sharing these values with people because it contains your configuration information. So don't share it with people. Okay, so here I'm simply going to go ahead and simply delete all of this. I'm going to say I'm going to say Firebase Firebase.initialize initialize app. So that watch out for that camel casing, and then you have to put Firebase config values right there. So great, so that's all we need to do. So you have to set that Firebase.initialize app, and then you have to say Firebase.config, which is this configuration settings to your application. So once we have that done, that's all we need to do inside of the config file. So this just initialize the Firebase, and you say Firebase.initialize app, and then we need to provide all of this. But where is this Firebase coming from? And this is what we need to provide in our CDN. So we need to provide this using the CDN. So if you go back to the documentation right here, you see these links right here. These are the CDNs that you have to copy. So you have to copy all the CDN, and then you have to make a script tag and then refer to all of this. So the first one is this Firebase-app.js, and then you can just copy it from here and then paste that. And then the second script is this one right here. Copy that also and paste it here. And also you can also add the Firestore CDN in case we use it later on in the future. So you can simply feel comfortable to go ahead and add this Firestore.cdn. So you can just copy it from here and go and paste it, but I'm using 8.4.1, so feel free to use the same version as me. So you can change it from 9.6.6 to 8.4.4, and then that will also work for you. So once we have that set up, you also have to include the config.js script inside of your file. Make sure that it comes after this configuration, because in here we have the Firebase. So if you don't have that CDN, then you get an error saying Firebase is undefined. So if Firebase is being defined by using this CDN, and then from now we can go ahead and actually refer to our config file. And then yeah, that's all we need for now. So once we have that, we can create another file called signup.js. So I also have other the CDN here. I have Jquery. We're going to use Jquery as well. I have the Bootstrap one, and then I also have the Bootstrap here, and then I also have the link my CSS file and other information right here. So you can also go and actually change the title. I told you I'm using a template, so I can just change the title to Firebase, Firebase, just like that. So once I have that done, we are good to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually create a signup.js file right here. So now that we have the sign up page file created, we can go ahead and simply begin to write our code. But the first thing, one thing I forget to mention is you have to go to your Firebase store right here, and then Firebase store, make sure you enable this, and also you must go ahead and go let me just show you here. You must go ahead and include the Firebase CDN inside of your file. So this part of the code, make sure that you include it. This part here is compulsory. Make sure you include it, or else you get an error. Okay, so make sure that you include those two as well, and also you have this setup right here. So once we have that, let's go ahead and actually begin to write the logic for our code. So the first thing we want to do is to enable let me just open up this. Let me just open this up in using the live server. So you can just go in here to extensions tab, and then you can install live server if you don't have it. So I'm going to be running with this with live server, and you can feel free to run it anywhere you want, but I'm going to be using live server to run this. So it's going to open up live server at localhost at port 5500, and let's just wait for it to load. Let me just check if it's already open. Now it's not open. It's taking a bit of time. So while that is loading, let's also do one more thing. So go to authenticate, and in authenticate you can go to sign in method. So in sign in method, make sure that you allow email sign in. So just say enable and then click save. So this will enable email sign in. There are other sign in methods that you can use. You can go to the provider, and you can choose other sign in method. You can sign with Google and other stuff like that. So if you go to website that enable Google sign up, they enable Google sign up sign up method. Okay, in this case you're going to allow the, let me just go back here, you're going to allow the email sign in, email and password sign in. Okay, so you can see this is a website right now, and you can see that the loader button is continuously spinning. So what I want to do is actually disable this, unless hide this unless I want to activate it. So I'm going to go back to my code, and I'm going to be using Jquery, and I'm going to do I'm going to go to use the $, and I'm simply going to say I'm going to say document, and then dot ready. And this is going to text in a function, so I'm going to say function, and this is going to be a function, so just like this. So instead of this function, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the spinner by this is a $sign, and I'm going to get the spinner by its ID. So I'm going to get the ID, the spinner by its ID. So if I go back to index.html, here you can see I have the spinner right here, and it's this a bootstrap spinner. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go in here and then paste it in here, and I'm going to do dot sorry, this is going to be dot hide. Okay, I'm going to simply hide that, so call that function. So now that I have done that, I can go back here. You can see the spinner is not loading anymore. Okay, so what I want to do is that whenever a person clicks on this button, the registration button, it should gather all this information and send it to Firebase. Okay, so let's go ahead and try doing that. So in here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to find the button that does the button when the button gets pressed, and this button is the one that gets pressed, and it's called sign up. Okay, it has an ID called sign up. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to have a const. I'm going to call it register btn, and this is going to be document dot get element by ID, and I want to get the button by ID, and I want to check if it's on click. So I'm going to add an event listener on click, and if it's click, what I still want to do is I have to say this. So if it's click, what I still want to do is I want to call a function. I'm going to use an arrow function. I'm going to take in an event, since you are dealing with the form, and what I want to do is I want to say e.prevent default. I want to prevent the default action and handle the form submission myself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get the name, and this is going to be the username, and this is going to be document.get element by ID, and I'm going to provide the ID of the username field. So if I go in here, if I go into my index.html, I can see the username field has an ID of name. So I'm going to get the ID, and so I'm also going to get the const. I'm going to get the password, and this is going to be document.get element by ID, and this is going to be pass. Okay, you can reach through the index.html and find the different values that I'm using here. I'm also going to say const, and I'm going to call this going to be re_password, which is repeat password. and this is going to be a document. So document.get element by id, and you say re hyphen password. Okay, yeah, ie underscore password, and this you can get this information right here. So if you scroll here, you can get this information right here, and I want to get its value. So value right here, and I'm going to get const, and this is going to be email, and this is going to be document.get element by id, and providing the email. Okay, the email right here, and email dot value, just like that. So this is going to get me all the details that the user has passed in. So before I submit this to the database into my Firebase, I want to do some verification. So verify username, just like that. I'm going to say if username dot length th, if the length is greater or equals to 20 characters. I don't want anything greater or equals to 20 characters, and username dot length is less or equals to 3 characters. I want to issue an error. So what I want to do is I want to go in here. So let me just show you the username part. This is the username right here. So this is the username. I want to get this span element and then display an error inside of the span. Okay, so what I want to do the first is get this element and then make the border button to be red. Okay, so I'm going to simply go ahead and use jQuery to do that. So I'm going to go in here. Sorry, this is supposed to be round brackets, and then this is supposed to be a string, and then this, and I'm going to pass the id there. So I'm going to do dot css. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say border hyphen bottom border bottom, just like this, and I'm going to say border bottom is going to be solid red, and it's going to be of 2 pixels, just like that. So once I have that, what I also want to do now is to get the index, this field right here, which is going to be the span element, and then display the text inside of the span element. So I'm going to say $, asterisk, parenthesis, quotes, and then I'm going to say error hyphen name, and I'm going to say dot the text of it is going to be the following. So the text of it is going to be user name must be at least 4 characters, and I can say and less than 20 characters, just like that. So that will be for that will be in case there's an error, and then I'm going to simply return false, just like that. So great, that's going to validate the username. So let's go ahead and try this out. So if you go into your index.file, make sure that you have your sign up referred to it here. So make sure you have sign up being referred here. So once you have that, I can go to index, and then I can simply type in my name too, and then I try to submit. It doesn't do anything. Okay, so let me just check the console to see in case I'm getting any output. So let me just go to console, and I'm not getting any output either. So let's check if this button is actually being clicked. So let me just go in here and just do console.log, and just saying register, just like that. And let me try this out one more time. So refresh the page and then simply click this, register is being present. So great, so we're getting to this function right here. So you're saying username.length, if the length is greater or equals to 20, and okay, this is supposed to be an or, so I'm just going to say an or. So I'm just going to do an or here. So let me just delete that. So if the length is greater or equals to 20, or the username.length is less than 3, then that should be that error should be there. So let me just try this out. Let me just say r and then submit. You can say the username should be at least 4 characters or that. So great. So now once you have that logic running, so you can go auto and check and validate other forms. So you can validate the password. So if password, I can just say if password.length, I want the length of the password should be greater than 6. You can just say anything you want. So greater than 6. So if it's not greater than 6, I want to issue an error. So I'm just going to copy and paste it here and modify it. So if you go back to the index page, you can see for the password part, we have the different IDs for the different passwords. So what I'm going to simply do is just change the data right there. So for password, I think it's right here. So password is here. So the ID is just password and then error hyphen password. So I'm going to go here and then say password, and then error, and then hyphen password, and then I want to make the bottom of the input field to be red, and I want to say that password must be at least 6 characters, just like that. So let me just go in here again and let's try this out. So I'm going to refresh this, and then a password field, I'm going to just put in 2. Okay, let's try to refresh this. Okay, it said also let me provide the username first. Let me just say something random, and then the password I'm going to, you can see password must be at least 6 characters. So that validation also works. So let's also do another validation, which is going to be the email validation, whether the user provided the right format for the email. For that, I'm going to use some regular expressions. So I'm just going to copy this code from my GitHub page. So we'll copy that, and I'm going to go ahead and say paste it here. Okay, so it's going to check for the email, and it's going to get the email field data. So this is the email part here. It's going to get the email right here. Here is the email, so it's going to get the email and the error - email, and then in case the email doesn't match this regular expression, it's going to issue these errors. Okay, so let me just go back. I can also try this out. So let me just type in my name here, and then an email. I type in something fake, and then try to get this. You can see invalid emails format. Great. So once we have that, we can also go ahead and do another check. We also do the password check, and to do the password check, what I'm simply going to do, I'm going to say if password is not equals to the re_password. If that's not the case, then we'll go ahead and actually do an error here. So what you're simply going to do is you're going to get the password and set its email to be so I'm going to say $. So what I'm simply going to do here is simply get the password field. So you can go and in here you can check the password field is just pass right there. So you can make sure that this is actually string. So yeah, and then I'm simply going to do .css, and I'm going to set it to be just copy this. I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to make the CSS to be red, the border bottom to be red. I can just go ahead and do this, and also going to do the same for password reset. So copy this since the password don't match, so I'm going to do re and then _password. Yeah, and also I'm going to go ahead and actually set the different information to alert the user the password is invalid. So I'm going to say $, and then quotes, and then I'm going to say £, the asterisk, and then say error, and then you can say password just like that, and you can just go ahead and say .text, and you can say that passwords do not match, just like that. And I'm going to copy this and paste it one more time. So copy that and copy this. I'm just going to copy this and paste it one more time, and this will be password this is going to be re and then _pass. So let me just remove that hyphen, and these are passwords do not match, just like that. And the I'm going to simply return false. So once I have this done, I can simply go ahead and try this out. Before that, I can see I have an error right here. So it's going to be password hyphen re and then _pass. So password error hyphen re _pass, and then you're going to set the text to be passwords don't match. So let's go to here, and then I can refresh this and then try to type it out. So type out something, and then my email should be valid, password, and then some random password. So try this out, and it's get password do not match. So all that validation works. So now that we have that, what I'm simply going to do is first I'm going to check if the user exists in our database, in our Firestore. So make sure that you enable Firestore on your application. I've already enabled Firestore, so make sure that you go ahead and enable Firestore database, because you're going to use this database. So what I want us to do first is to go ahead and actually go ahead and filter go to our database to make sure that a user with the provided details does not already exist. So I'm going to say Firebase Firestore. It's a function .collection. So I'm going to say .collection, and then you call this, and then I'm going to say inside of the collection I'm going to have a collection called users. So I have users there, and then I'm simply going to do .where. I'm going to check where the username is comma is equals to user name. So if the user like that already exists, where we have the username already existing, what I want to do, I want to simply go ahead and do the following. So what I want to go ahead and do, and sorry, this is a press enter here, and I'm going to do .get. So it's going to be a promise. So I'm going to get, and then I'm going to do a then. And what I'm going to do here, I'm simply going to pass in a parameter called query snap snapshot, just like that, query snapshot, and it's going to be an arrow function. So we're going to have an arrow function, and what I'm going to do inside of this arrow function, I'm going to do query snapshot dot for each. I'm going to have a for each loop, and instead of the for each loop, what I'm simply going to pass in, I'm going to pass in doc, and for each of those documents I'm going to check the following. So each of those documents I'm going to have an arrow function. I'm going to check if doc dot data dot username is equals to username. So let me use the 3 equal signs here. It's equals to username. If that's the case, what I want to do is providing an error. Okay, we just tell the user that the username already exists. So I'm going to get the username field, so I can even go ahead and get it from here. Here I can just copy all of this. So copy all of that, copy that, and simply go ahead and paste it in here. But what you're simply going to do, instead of saying the password, we're going to simply say, let me just close off that. So I'm just going to change the text here and say that user sorry, I'm just gonna do this. I'm going to say user name already exists. Please choose a different one, just like that. So we're going to tell the user that the username already exists, that it should choose a different one, and then you're going to return false after that. Great. So that is we'll make sure that the username already the details of the user exist before doing anything. So in case there's an error there, we can have a then. So in here you can have and keep a catch. So you can have a catch block. So you can say catch, and you can catch. We can pass in error, and this error is going to have an arrow function that is going to handle this, and it's going to say console.log unable to fetch. You can say fetch document. Okay, just like that, and then we can just go ahead and actually put the error here. So great. So once we have that done, that's all we need to do. So we can go and actually write the logic to actually now put the user into a database in case the user pass all the validation and a user with that username or data doesn't already exist. So in case it passes all that validation, we can just go and input the user into a database. So you might be asking, what about if a user with that email already exists? Now Firebase itself will handle that error and throw back to us an error, and will simply display that error to the user. So that's what we're going to do. So first of all, what I want to do to add the user database, what I want to do is I want to first go ahead and actually let me just undo that and actually say that the sign up we're going to sign up the sign up button, we're going to disable it. So we're going to hide it. So in case the person simply goes ahead and clicks the registration button, we're going to hide the sign up button. So this is we're supposed to keep the asterisk here, yeah, and then you're going to say go up here. I'm simply going to go and copy the spinner and then just paste it here. So paste it here, and then dot, we're going to say dot show, because by default we hid it at initially. So now we're going to go ahead and show it. Means that the return is going to be loading, means you're performing a certain action in the background. So const, and you're going to have say today, and this is going to be new date object, because whenever there is a created, I want a date object to keep track of the user's registration created date. Okay, so I'm going to say firebase.auth create user with email and password. So create user with email and password, passing the email and then passing the password as well of that user, and then do a dot. It's going to return to us a promise. So we're going to say dot then, and we're going to get user credentials, and then I'm going to have this function right here. It's going to be an arrow function. So we're going to take in the user credentials, and you're going to go ahead and actually store this information into the Firestore. So we're going to say Firestore, and what you're simply going to do in your dot collection, we're going to say dot collection, and you're going to say users, and the users is what we provided in here as well. So users, okay, users, and then we're going to simply say dot doc. So get the doc, and then dot set. So we're going to pass in an object here. So we're going to say username, and it's going to be username that we just got. And then we're going to provide in the email, and the email is going to be email, that the user provided, and then you're also going to say the created sorry, you're going to say the user UID. So user UID is going to be user credentials.user.uid. So it's going to return to us the user's UID right there. So once we have that, you're going to say created underscore at, and this is going to be another field, and you can say today dot get full year, and then you're going to add that to this string. Sorry, this is going to be, you can just leave it a string like this and empty, and then plus today dot get this is going to be get month. So I'm going to get the month, and I'm going to add 1 to the month, so just like that. So once I have that, I can simply add this in another string, and then I can add this today dot this is going to be get date, just like that. So once I have all this set up, I can simply go ahead and actually now take this to the database. Okay, so what I can simply do in here, I'm just trying to find the closing tag of this. Yeah, so what I'm simply going to do in here, after doing all of that, I'm simply going to go ahead and do a swivel. So I'm going to use a swivel to make some alerts here. So I'm going to use that, the swivel right here. So I'm going to say swivel, and you have sweet alert, right? We have included sweet alert CDN here, so I'm going to use sweet alert to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and use sweet alert right here. So I'm going to go here and say sweet, then pass in an object. So it needs the title of the pop-up is going to be sign up. This is in case the user gets successfully registered. So you're going to say title, so make sure I get the spelling of title right, and then you're going to say text, and the text is going to be you have been successfully registered, just like that. And then I'm also going to provide the icon. So the icon is going to be success, and then I'm going to provide the button, and this button I'm going to put on it login. So login. Yeah, that's all I need. And then in case a person clicks this, you're going to have a promise of then, and you're going to handle that promise. Okay, so I'm going to pass in a function. So instead of this function, I'm going to do window dot location dot href, and the href is simply going to be the following. So the href of this is going to be registration log. Sorry, undo that. So registration log, which is the name of my file here. So I'm going to do /registration registration log, registration login. So registration login /login.html. so in case everything succeeds, I'm going to drag the user to the login page. So great. So once we have that done, what I can simply go ahead and do, I can also catch this. So catch this, and then error, pass in an error, and then use an arrow function right here. And what I'm simply going to do, I'm going to get the following. So I'm going to, let me just copy the email part right here. So I'm going to go to the email where I was doing the email validation. So I'm just going to copy this, and then simply move it here. Okay, this will be issued in case the user with that email already exists. Okay, yeah, so we're going to say error, and then you can say, instead of saying our own message, you're going to say error dot message. Okay, this will be returned to us from Firestore. So we're just going to access the message field, and what I'm simply going to do here, I'm also going to say $, and then this we're going to say asterisk, sorry, pound sign, then we're going to say spinner dot hide. In case everything fails, means you're going to hide the spinner, and then everything will be back to normal, and then you're going to now show again our sign name. So let me just copy it from here, copy this, copy it, and then simply paste it here, and then say that you're going to show this. Okay, then the page will be back to the default, and then simply you're going to return false, just like that. So great. So once we have everything done there, we can simply go ahead and actually try this out. So I can go to the front page here, and then go to my application, and then try to refresh it, and then let me just close this. I can minimize this for now. So I can in here I can write in my name, Prince, and then my email, test email, and then my password. I'm going to provide in right password. Even here I'm going to provide in the right password, and then simply register. So the button is going to spin, and then we have an error here, so you can say done. So I'm going to click OK, but you can see we have an error there. It didn't display that error. So let's go and see if you actually save the data inside of our. Let's go to authentication, and you can see that user has been created. Let's go to Firebase, and let's see if the data has been added there. So let's go to collection, and you can see the data has not been added there. So let's go to the collection, let's call it users, and then save that. Actually cancel this. Okay, let's try to see if it's being added here. So let's go in here and just simply trace this. So firebase.users.collection, username is not equal to username, and then .get then, and then this. Yeah, we have all of that done. So in case everything done, we're going to go Firebase. We're saying firebase.firestore.collection users the collection.users.doc.set, and you're providing this value to set. Okay, you're providing the username and the email, the UID, the created at, and then that's all. And then you have the swivel alert right here. Then you have the then, and then we have the catch to display that error. So everything works fine, but let me just for now, it looks like we're getting an error. So let me not redirect to another page. So let me just try this one more time. So I'm just going to go into Firebase, and then I'm going to drop this user. So I'm going to delete this user. So delete, and then go in here, try this one more time. So I'm going to go into, actually go back. Yeah, so I'm going to provide the same details, and then my password, and then in here my password. So go ahead and click on register. Then we have an error here. It says that let's see the error here. Firebase error, pre-built missing or instance insufficient permission. So we are having insufficient permission when trying to get access to our Firestore application. So we're getting a 404. Let's try Google API this. Unable to fetch document Firestore sign up.55. So we are unable to fetch the document right here. So we have an error fetching the document. So let's go back to console. So I think we have a permission issue. So what you can do is missing or insufficient permission. So you're having a permission issue. So if I go in here into Firebase, you can go to the rules right here, and you can change the rules right here. You can change these rules right here, and then it will allow permission to the Firebase. So what you can just do is just go here and then search for Firebase rules. So let's go here and then search Firebase rules, and then from here you can be able to go to the official documentation, and then try to get the rules right here. So you can just say you can just use this right here. So the rules right here, you can just copy this. There's so many rules that you can use. So you can just go and find the rules right here. So you can even the best thing to do right now, you're getting this. So this will, let me just see, this is the Firestore. May want to make sure the users only read and write when they are their own data. So this is going to make sure the users can be able to read and write only their own data. So that's one rule you can set. But the rule I want is let me just go in here and get this insufficient permission error, and then paste this in so now I have this. I can just simply get let me just go to Stack Overflow. These guys, they give a very good I have seen last time I had an error, I came here and I found a great solution for it. So you can simply go ahead and allow this, right, allow read and write for if request.authenticated is now. Okay, so you can actually use this right here. So you can just go ahead and use that there. So you can actually read through all of this and all the answers you have, and then from there you can be able to do. So for example, to read data, I want to allow everyone to read data. The above voted answers are dangerous for the health of your database. You can still make your database available just for read and not for write. So you can actually make your database just available for read but not available for write. So you can also do that if you want, but you can also read the documentation and see what other people are suggesting that you do, and then take some time, read through it, and then come up with your own rule that you want to set for the database. So you can actually change the rule to this. So just copy this, and I'm simply going to go into my Firebase store right here. So right here I can simply just paste this rule here. So just paste this rule, and then I can simply say publish. So what this simply goes allow me to do is I can simply, let me just today I set some couple of rules. So yeah, so allow read and write if true. Let me just go in here. I set a rule. Yeah, I want this rule instead. I set the rule previously, so I'm going to copy this, and then go in here and then use this rule instead. So paste this rule, and I'm simply going to go ahead, format that, and then I can publish it. So publish. So yeah, so if read, you can read the data, but create, update, to create, delete, and update, and write, you have to be authenticated. So great. So now that I have that, I can simply go into my Firebase authentication here, and then get rid of this user, delete the account, and then let's try this one more time. So I'm going to say login. I'm going to go back here. So in here, I'm just going to go ahead and pass in my, let me refresh the page to make sure everything is up to date. So minimize this for now. And I'm simply going to pass in here my name, and then my email, and then my password. So type in my password, and then also here my password. So once I have it, I can just click on register, and then I can do inspect. So I can inspect, let me see in case you're getting any error. The server responded with let me see here, so getting an error for error. So let me go to Firebase and try to refresh this. We have the user created, and in the Firestore, let me try to see if I can get that user. Yeah, you can see the users, and the user information has been entered here successfully. So you can see the user information right here has been entered and has been saved into our Firebase. So great. So once we have that error, I can just go ahead and click this, and then I can just so I can just go click on this login, and then that should be done. Okay. So once I have the registration set up, users are now able to register the application. What about being able to sign up? Okay, sorry, to be able to log in rather. So we can actually implement the login system as well, and that we just have to create another file in here, and then just call it another file called the login.js. So instead of login.js, we'll keep the functionality for users to be able to log into the application. So that's what you're going to do. So create a file called login, and instead of the login.js, we're going to keep the functionality to enable the users to be able to log in. So let me just go back to in here, and instead of my login, make sure that I enable this, because we are going to be using the login script right here. So we're going to be using this login.js. I disabled it previously because I didn't have the functionality to be able to check the user's information, to be able, we didn't have the script, so it will give us an error. So what we want to do first of all is to hide the spinner by default. So I'm going to go in here, go up here. What I want to do is I want to access the login button. So the login button is here. Okay, so login button. So I want to access this login button. So it's called sign in. I give it an ID of sign in. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to say const login btn. And then this is going to be document get element by ID listener. So on click, what if the person clicks, this is what you want to do. So if the person clicks on, we want to have pass in we want to take in an event, and then you want to do this arrow function. And in here I want to do e.prevent default, because I don't want the browser to handle that for me. I want to handle it myself. So I'm going to get the password, and the password is going to be document get element by ID, and I'm going to get the ID of that. So if I go to login.html, I want the password. So this is the password ID. So I'm going to copy that and simply go in and paste it in here. So I'm going to go in here and paste it in here. I want to get the value. Okay, value. So great. So once I have that done, let me just do that, and then I'm going to press enter. I'm going to have const, and this is going to be the email. So the password and the email is going to be document.get element by ID, and you can go in here and you can find the email. So you can go in here and then find the email. So here, copy that and simply paste it here, and I want to get dot value, just like that. So great. So I'm going to get the email and the password, right? So I'm going to do an authentication to make sure the email format is correct. So I can just go in here and simply copy this and go in here and simply paste it in here. Great. So now what I also want to do is else. I'm going to say an else button. So I'm going to say else block. Else, what you want to do is you want to say I'm going to simply copy this and simply paste it in here. And then I want to say the spinner, I want to show the spinner. So in case there's no error, means that the email validated, you want to show the spinner. and then you want to also hide the button. So I'm going to go to in here and then find that button for login. So we are given an ID called sign in. So I'm going to go here. I'm actually going to copy this ID right here, .hide. I'm going to copy this, and then move it in here and simply paste it. And then this is to be .hide, this is to be sign in. So if you go in here, you can find that ID here, copy that ID and simply paste it in here. So paste it there. So I want to hide first the button, and then just showing the spinner, because by default we hit the spinner when the document loads. So now that we have that, what I want to do Firebase auth, this is a function sign in with email and password. So we're going to sign in with email, and so in here we're going to take in the following. Okay, you're going to take in an email and password, just like that. So we're going to take in an email and a password, and then you're going to get a promise back. So I'm going to say then, and in here I'm going to say user credentials, and this is going to be an arrow function. And what I'm going to do in here, we can simply go, I'm going to add the user's data to the session. So session storage dot set item. So I'm going to set I'm going to put in the UID of the user into my session. So I'm going to put the UID, which is going to be user credentials dot user uid. Okay, so I'm going to get the user UID and I'm going to store it in my session, and then after that I'm going to redirect the user to the main page. So I'm going to say window dot location dot href, and the href is going to be registration. So I'm going to go in here and copy this to save time. So go in here and simply copy let me just look for it, where we are redirecting the user after the user signs up. This is sign up. Okay, it's here. So I'm just going to comment this out and then simply copy this code, copy it and simply move it in here, and then simply replace this, and this is going to be main.html, which is going to be our main page. Okay. Okay, so in case there was an error, we're going to go ahead and catch that error. So we're going to say .catch and what you're going to catch is the error. This is going to be another function, and inside here, of course, we're going to now have the the Sweetalerts, and this is going to be the following. So taking an object, and you're going to say this sorry, going to be title, and the title is going to be sign in. I think sign in, the spelling is this much, sign in, and then you're going to say the text, and the text is going to be in case there's an error, you're going to do error dot message, just like that. And the icon for this, you can say the icon is going to be error. Okay, these are just some Sweetalerts. You can read more about Sweetalerts in case you're interested in it. So we're going to say try again. So the user failed to log in, so we're going to tell the user to try again. And then in case you're going to catch the promise, so we're going to say copy all of this in case it failed to sign up and to sign in. So we're going to now set everything back to default. So this is going to be show, and this is going to be hide. Okay, so I want to hide first the spinner, and then I want to show the other details. So great. Yeah, so then actually I made an error here. So then actually it's a function. I'm going to cut this, and then so it's a function, and function right here is going to be the following. So we can just have a function there, and I'm going to paste this right there. So great. So once we have all of that set up, now we can go ahead and simply return false, just like that. So this is going to be all we need for the login. Okay, so now let's go ahead and actually try this out. So go ahead and actually go to first here login.html. so in here I'm going to provide in my email and then the password that I used when signing up. So put in that password and then click on this, and you see we get redirected to this page. Now you can see we have some errors here because we don't have some files here, so we're going to fix all this just in a second. So you can see we have directed the user to the login page, so now the user should be able to log out as well. So we can also create the logout functionality, but before, let's fix these errors in the main. Okay, so let me just go to the main.html and I'll explain to you some things that I use. So in main.html, the first thing you want to do, you want to add a script tag in the head body, in the head, okay, not the body tag, inside of the head, because you want this script to run fast before any other thing, even before the body gets rendered. Okay, so we want to get const, we're going to have a const called user UID, it is going to be from this local storage. Okay, so right now if I go back to my browser and just click on application, let me go to application and I go to my session, and in my local store you can see I have the session stored in here, and this is the user UID. So if I delete this, then the user will get deleted. So if I go ahead and delete this, the user will get logged out of the system. So just getting the this data from the local storage, and then checking if it's not null. If it's equals to null, then redirect the user to login. So this will be /registration login /login.html. So let me just go and see if I can delete this, and if I delete it, then it will be null. So I'm going to delete this. So if I delete it and try to refresh this again, you see I get redirected to the login page. So that's the logic. So we have to keep this at the head section of your code. So you can just pause the video and simply go ahead and type this out. Okay, so instead of my head, I'm getting an error is authentic. This is something I was working with, so I'm just going to delete it, and that's all. So now let's go ahead and actually do the logout functionality. So let's say logout.js. So logout.js is we're going to go ahead and actually log out the user that is logged into the system. So what you're going to simply do is just delete the session, and then that will be done. So what I'm simply going to do in my, okay, this is supposed to be logout.js, right? So let me just go to the main and try to check for something. So in main, I'm going to go to my navigation bar, my here. So in here I have the logout button right here, and I want to do something in case the logout button gets clicked. So if the logout button gets clicked, what I want to do is simply delete what's inside of the session, right? And then that's all we need to do. So you can actually do that very simply. So just go in here and simply say let me just come in here. So let me just go into my main here, main, and if this gets clicked, we simply want to log out that specific user. So we can actually add a script tag to do that for us. So we can just do we can get this. So we can just copy this, and let's do it here. So I'm going to copy this and go into my logout and simply say sorry, it's going to be the $, and then this quote, and then this, paste that in there. Dot on click. I think on click we can just do this. On click, what we're simply going to do is on click we're just going to take in an event, and then you can call an arrow function this way. So we're going to say session local session dot remove item, and the item that you want to remove is simply the one with the UID tag. Because the key value pair, you want to remove the element the UID tag, and then also want to simply say window dot location dot href, and you want to direct the user to /registration login, and which is the name of our folder right here, our project folder /login.html. Okay, so that's all we want to do. So if a person clicks this button, we want to simply go ahead and if a person clicks this logout, you want to call this right here, and what it simply does, we have added on event, I think is on let's say document. Actually, let me use document.get. So I can say document.get element by ID, and then I can use that ID right here. So copy that ID and then move in here and simply paste that ID. So I want to get that document.get ID, and then on click I want to simply call this function, which is going to go ahead and actually get rid of the information, get rid of that session, the user ID that we stored in the session. So let's go ahead and actually try this out. So I'm going to sign up, so using my email, and then providing my password. It's going to be here. So login. So once I'm logged in, I can simply go to logout and click on logout. It doesn't really work. If I click on logout, you can see it doesn't work. So let's just, instead, if I click on it, let me just do console.log. Can just log hello. Okay, so let me just try that one more time. So if I just go in here and try to log out, let me just go to console and try to log out. It doesn't really log out, so it says main.js. we're having an error here somewhere. Let me try to get here. It says script main.js, so we don't have that script main.js. Let me just go and delete that for now. Script main.js, let me just try to get if I can get the script main.js. Okay, we don't have the script main.js yet, so we don't have this that script main.js yet. So what you can do instead of logout, instead of just doing this, let's make something more better than this. So what I want to do, whenever this is clicked, right, we want to call this function that takes in this parameter, an empty parameter. So we're just going to leave this to be empty. Instead of just doing this, I want to do something else. So I'm just going to get rid of this and do something more better than that. So I'm going to say console let me just console.log to make sure that we actually say logged out. So I'm just going to print logged out on my screen. So let me just go in here and try to click it. Actually it doesn't work for now. Let me just refresh this and just click on logout. It doesn't actually work. So okay, the reason why it doesn't work is that we just removed the main.js. so main.js is actually supposed to be logout.js, so I have to include logout.js in there. So that's why it wasn't working. So now let me just refresh this and let's try to go in here and then click on this. You can say logged out. Okay, great. So now that function is being called. So what I want to do instead of that function, whenever it's called, is I want to do I'm going to sign out that user. So Firebase, I want to say Firebase dot auth dot sign out. I'm going to call the sign out and dot. Then I'm going to get this is going to be a promise. So I'm going to call this arrow function right here. So what I want to do instead of the arrow function is the session dot remove item. So I'm going to remove item, and this item is called UID, right? We give it an if you go in here, we gave it if you log in, we called it UID right here. So I'm going to remove that UID value. So once I remove it, what I still want to do, I want to now alert the user that he has been logged out. So do that. So call this and then pass in an object here. I'm going to say the title. So the title is going to be logged out, and then I'm going to provide in the text, and the text is going to be log out successful. And then I'm going to now price in the icon. The icon is going to be success, and I'm going to pass in the button, and the button is going to be login again, so the user can be able to log in. And if the user clicks this, you're going to now handle that promise. So then I'm going to have an function. So I'm going to say function, this function. I'm going to handle the function here. I'm going to say window dot location dot href and the window dot href is going to be the following. It's going to be a string. It's going to be registration login /login. When the user clicks login again, you're going to direct the user to the login page. Then we're going to return false there. So great. So now that we have that done, so what you can simply do is, first of all, when the user clicks on this, I want to get the spinner. Spinning when the user clicks on the login again. So I'm going to simply go ahead. Let me just go in here and copy these values right here, copy them, and simply go in here and simply paste them here. So I'm going to paste them here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the spinner to the spinner to hide, and then the sign in to show. Okay, so once I have that, also I'm going to handle this. So I'm going to say I'm going to catch. So I'm going to go ahead and catch, and I'm going to pass in an error. So this error is going to be an arrow function, and you're going to simply simply display an error, an information right there. So what you're simply going to do is you're going to say the title and then an error. In case there's any error, we're going to display that error to the user. So I'm going to say Sweetalerts, and then I'm going to have that object inside there. So I'm going to say title, and the title is going to be logged out, and then I'm going to have the title. I'm going to have the text of the title, and the text is going to be error.message, and I'm going to have the icon, and the icon is going to be the error icon, and I'm going to have the button, and the button is going to be login again. So, and then you're going to handle that. So I'm going to say then function there, and I'm just going to go ahead and do get these values again, copy these values again, paste them in here, and then the spinner to hide, and then show, and then I'm simply going to return a false. Great. So that's all we need to do. Yeah, that's all we need to do. So in here I can also go here and return a false. Yeah, that's all we need to do for this to work. So now let me just go into my page here and simply click on logout. It said you have been logged out, login again. It has been redirected me to registration. Okay, I got the spelling of registration wrong, so this is registration. Okay, so yeah, that's it. So I can just go to registration. Sorry, you can just return all of that and simply pass in registration here, T. Registration, what's the name here? Registration. Again, you can just copy it from here if I'm getting this error. So I'm going to copy this, and simply go in here and replace it. Okay, this is supposed to be .html, and I'm just going to go in here and say .html. Yeah, so I have it. So I'm going to log in again. So log in my password and provide in my password in here, and simply log in. This is going to log me in, so I can see I'm logged in. If I check the session, those details should be stored inside of my session. So application, application, and then go to session. You can see that the information has been stored in the session. And if I click on logout, and then okay, you can see that information has been deleted from the session. So that's how you can simply build a simple login and logout system, registration, login and logout system using Firebase and vanilla JavaScript. So guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video so far, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Keep safe.